video. There we go. And it's live.
Hello everyone, welcome to the second episode of The Scene. We're here with Bevve here, who's just come out of a game against Chet. How are we feeling today, mate? How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm feeling kind of ill, but yeah, not too great from the loss either. But
Oh,
I'm happy to be here.
he's coming through with excuses already. I
Yeah,
feel a bit rough on that loss, you know. I'm not
wagon,
feeling wasn't on
PC's
performance.
broken.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, I
all
was having a
around.
bit of jitters, FPS
Yeah,
because of the ACA, man. That's all
yeah.
coming out now.
Let me move.
Oh no, yeah, no. So yeah, no, that was a good game. Good game. Was that 16-12?
12. Yeah,
16-13?
16-12 was the final result. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was a good game to watch. Me and Arky both had a little watch on that. So let's get down to business a bit, shall we?
Down to
Get
business.
started on it all.
Let's
So
go.
we'll come in pretty heads on with this thing. So
Yeah, of course.
obviously we had a little chat before we started this up about you know, just clearing the air a bit with the whole situation you had from a couple of years ago with the exploit kind of scandal that happened. How are you kind of finding things? I mean, what was it, a 2-year ban that you got for that exploit?
2-year ban from 2018. So I literally came back, I think, like 4 months ago, officially on ESEA. And then my face-up ban was late December. So I've only been back for a few months now. So it's a very different scene than what I left. But
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, 2 years is a fucking eternity in esports. I think, you know, it's completely different.
That's enough to end a
Players,
career in it, to be fair.
Yeah,
yeah.
so it's a lot for, you know. I mean, it's really impressive. I mean, I was having a look obviously through your team and, you know, doing a bit of research for this. Like, you perform really fucking well. So then you basically come out of a 2-year period where you've just not been playing. I'm assuming not been playing in teams. I mean, I'm guessing you've been plugging a lot and stuff like that. But
Honestly, no, not at all. Like I haven't played at all. I think I have like 50 hours past 2 weeks even now whilst I'm in a team.
yeah,
Which well, I think it's like 80 between my two accounts. We also have a separate account now for officials. It's the whole band thing.
yeah,
But no, I think I've been really fortunate this season in terms of you know, like most people when they get banned, they come back. Not only are they ousted from the community and like kind of like a closed door in their face, but they don't get any opportunities. So the fact I'm playing ESL Prem, ESEA main, got to like one of the final stages of Endpoint Academy and pulled out within
yeah,
3 months of my return. I'm really happy with that
yeah.
personally.
You've done well. Yeah, you've done very well. It's good. It's good. Yeah, I mean, it's good to see that, you know, there's not, like, second chances are really important in every kind of aspect. I
I
mean,
agree. Yeah.
so, you know, I mean, you've had a fuck up 2 years. I'd say 2 years is a good amount, you know, for a ban for you to an exploit or a cheat or a bug or something like that, because it's like, as I
Of
said
course.
before, it's a long fucking time in esports. You know, if you've still got the passion to come back and play again, then, you know, 2 years I'd say is a long enough, you know,
Totally different
long
scene.
ban.
Yeah,
Yeah,
correct.
exactly.
It's so long.
You know,
So
and if you can make it work, then, you know, that's great. Going back to that ban, so what was it like? What were you actually doing with it? Was it a smoke bug? I think is what I saw. Or like I remember it was a while ago since I read
yeah.
the post about it. So
So
what actually were you using?
yeah. So I was contacted by an old teammate of mine. He's kind of high up in the German scene now. And he said, "Look, like I've got a friend that is developing. Well, not developing, but he has this exploit you can use." We're at a point in the season where we just made like 2 massive roster changes. I wanted to quit the game, and I knew this cheat was really easy to detect. Like I knew it was basically like detected at this point. I just wanted to get out the scene as quick as possible. Like months leading up to this, like a bunch of racism and so it's like really just like whatever. So I wanted to walk away from the scene. I could have done it with a lot more like dignity and class and just like walked out entirely. I take that on the chin, and it's my fault for cheating. But basically, the way ESEA works, or at least back then, is they were aware as well that if you joined like a zombie server, your sprites would change. So you remember like the zombie servers might change molotovs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this friend of ours called Cleanlock, some like cheat
Good
developer
choice of a
now.
name. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's some cheat developer. I use the term friend really loosely. I think I spoke to him like a few times. And he said like, yeah, like you just need to run this script, and it's basically there's like ESA practice servers, probably noticed it now. And they all have different IPs. So all it was like an auto redirect. So you'd run the script, and whenever you try connecting to this server, it would redirect you to one that was hosted on your PC, meaning it would like bypass the community browser like limit.
Yeah.
It wouldn't download the files, but if you actually just spammed retry in console, it would download the files and kick you to the main menu, and you could just go join a pug. So it was kind of technical in that sense, but it was really basic as well. Like if I don't know how much you guys know about cheating, but that's like a super basic cheat. and again, like super easy to detect. Like, right, like I don't know if you play much Minecraft or Garry's Mod. Like all of these servers have screen grabbers. They'll like grab the pixels from a screen. If there's no smoke there, you just get banned. So
Yeah.
like we knew it would be detected in a month max.
Okay.
That's the power of German efficiency, that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
German
Of
efficiency, I
course,
guess.
it was a German.
Yeah, and you said it was Tabson and Godby that gave you that cheat, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Tabs and Gobbits is
Yeah,
in
all of
a lot of
them,
them.
mate.
Yeah,
They're
all
all
of
on
them.
the, all on the
Phenomenal.
gear, mate. All of
Yeah,
them boys on the
yeah,
gear.
all of
That's
them.
how Big been so successful in the online era.
So
That goes.
did you only actually use it for a very small period then? Like you said, it was going to be detected quite quickly. So I assume it was a couple
Well,
games.
I kind of dug
or
myself. Yeah, so I dug myself a grave with this part. So the week before I decided to start cheating, we won a tournament for like I think the grand pool was like 2.5K. We came first at the time. I was with Luxor, which has I don't know if you know Krapau, Xhaka.
Yeah, I remember you winning that.
That team, yeah, we like absolutely owned it, and I had a lot of support from the UK scene. I loved it. Like I was kind of this outcast even at that point. And then a week later, I get banned for cheating. The truth of it is, I never cheated in official. And I know people will be like, "Oh, you know, like of course you did." I swear on my life, I didn't. Obviously, that's just my word. Honestly, I don't blame anyone for thinking I did. But you know, I used it in I think 3 or 4 pugs. And looking at the videos, I think Joshua made one. I know like some other people made videos too. Like if you think I was trying to hide it or get away with
Yeah.
anything, like you're crazy. Like if I wanted to cheat and get away with it, like it's very easy to just sit there and ghost with a friend and get them to rank S or whatever. Like that's not difficult.
So would you say it was kind of a situation where it's I mean this is pretty common with a lot of exploits in a lot of esports where it's like, well, if one guy's doing it, what's to stop me getting away with it? Or is it just kind of like, well, I had nothing to lose, so why not just use it?
Really? Like obviously the cheat was actually exposed like 3 months not 3 months, like a month before that.
Okay.
Obviously Dotty, the FPL player, a bunch of Swedish
Yeah.
like talents were all banned
Mhm.
for it, and they used a slightly different method, but they changed NVIDIA settings. So slightly different method, which is why I got a 2-year and they got a 3-month. At the time, like I don't know. So yeah, no, it wasn't a case of they're doing it, so I'm going to do it. It was a case of like I just wanted to dip. I didn't really care how I dip. Like at the point I was fairly. I think it's fair to say like I was pretty like addicted to the game. So like walking away wasn't as easy as it sounds. But
Yeah, of
I
course.
decided to take like the stupidest route out possible, and that's something I've got to live with now, to be honest. So.
Yeah, well, I
Yeah.
mean, what brought you back then, really? Like, what was you were at a point where you wanted to leave and you were willing to take a 2-year ban. I mean, how does somebody turn that around and go, look, I'm going to come back and compete at a high level?
At the time, I was facing a lot of personal problems. So it was I didn't leave because you know the game was bad or the scene was bad or I was playing bad. It's simply in real life, like I was just failing. Like doing bad in college, like wasn't really getting anywhere. So I guess to answer your question, I'm now stable. I'm at uni. As for why I came out to
Nice,
CS
nice.
specifically, like I could have gone to Valorant and tried to do something.
Mm.
Yeah.
But I started playing. They were like, "Oh, Bevve, you want to play Uni CS?" And I'm like, I mean, sure.
Mhm.
I think my first game was against like Bensky and all of this lot on a game of Nuke, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
so
oh fuck! Like they all started spamming like chat, just like talking
yeah, it's like
like
the
a
old
lot of
last.
shit
Is it
expected.
the last resort guys, like those guys?
Yeah. So I played against them. They're talking a lot of shit, which is expected. Like I don't hold
Yeah.
anything against them for it. I think we ended up winning 16-14. I dropped like 40 or 35 or something. And I hadn't touched the game in like a year. So again, like I think a lot of people think I was cheating again. And even when I came back to face it, a lot of people assumed I was still cheating.
Mhm.
I was getting quite a few accusations, but again, that's expected.
Yeah.
Did you kind of feed off that? I feel like almost like
Do you know what?
from the sound of things, you were so like disheartened and pissed off with the scene that you were almost like, did you kind of feed off that energy? Just like, oh fuck it, I don't care anymore. Was there a bit of that going on there, or?
Yes, so when I came back, it was kind of like the same versus me. That's how I came back and assumed it would be. And I thought,
Yeah.
like, at the end of the day, everyone's going to come for my throat. There are not going to be any opportunities. So when I was playing, and like, they didn't invite me to PL, which is expected. Obviously, someone goes for 2 years, you're not going to invite them back. And I was getting like a lot of accusations, and I just used their anger against themselves. And it just kind of like, to be honest, made the games a lot easier. Because from my point of view, if I'm dying from a smoke after a 2-year ban that I had, I would also be very, very angry. Like I would assume the worst. So I was able to play with that a little bit. And you'll notice me even in officials now. Like I'm very aware with when to shoot through smokes, and it's something that my team joke about quite a lot.
Mhm.
But yeah, like it's like a weapon in itself, to be honest.
Yeah,
a
of
lot of
course.
psychological bit you can just
Yeah.
get people with.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, if you
because
can get people if you get people tilted again, think you're cheating again, they just fucking lose their heads, won't they? So,
yeah, they lose the reds, they start turning on each other, and it's all of a sudden like this guy's cheating, like go next, basically. So
yeah, I mean, you've got a little inside weapon, I guess, even without the cheats now. You can just use the fuck with people.
exactly. But again, like anyone like thinking that that's like a good thing to do, like don't cheat. Like it's the
Yeah,
stupidest thing you can do.
obviously.
Just to clarify.
I mean, going, on that front, how old were you when you actually did all that? I mean, you said you were in college. I'm guessing you were like 17, 16, something like that.
So actually, at the time, I from 16 to 18, I had done my English literature. I'd also done 2 other A levels, and I'd passed them all, and it wasn't the career path I wanted to take. So I'd actually gone back to college when I was 18, and I was doing computer science, and I hated it, absolutely hated it, and that's when I got banned.
Right. Okay.
So I was actually 18 years old. Like I'm again like old enough to know that I was being an absolute idiot. So
Yeah. I
yeah,
mean,
there's no
I just
excuse for like I was 15 years old. Like no, I was an adult like legally, and whether like you think people mature, or whatever. Like I knew what I was doing,
yeah.
and like majority of 18-year-olds do. So
Yeah. No, I'd 100% agree with you. I just thought it'd be an interesting question to ask. How do you think it's How do you think it's going to impact, like, it's impacted your reputation? Because as you said, like, you kind of felt like it was going to be the scene versus you when you came back, and obviously you've had, some offers as well, and you've got onto a good team already. How is it kind of how's the reception been after 2 years?
applied for when I came back. I think within the first month I applied for something like 15 teams.
Hmm.
The only team that was even slightly phased by the fact that I had a FACEIT and ESEA ban at the time, given I had both bans active, I wanted to come back and play like the next month.
Yep.
Was this like 3.5 to 4K low team that were like, now you're a scumbag cheater, which again expected, but like that rate, like people really haven't cared about my ban in terms of like my opportunities being given. Like the endpoint guys have been like really forgiving.
Hmm.
Um, I managed to, so obviously the footage wasn't shown in the Endpoint Academy process about the management review, but I asked Tobin and Pete and whatnot to send it to me. And like their thought process was slightly different to mine. They were like, "Oh, it's been 2 years. You deserve a second chance." That's
Yeah.
fine, but to me, I don't think a cheater should be given that opportunity to go to Endpoint Academy 3 months after they're back.
I don't know. It depends what state the other players are in my opinion. Like,
Yeah,
obviously
of
you
course.
pulled out of that whole process now. You and Magic both have, which is a great thing to see in my opinion. But if you're the best candidate for the process, and as they said, 2 years is a fucking long time for someone to process what they did and get over it. Like most people, if they got banned for 2 years from Counter Strike and they were semi-competitive or competitive like you were, they would not touch the game again. And if they came back, they wouldn't try and be competitive with it again. So if you're willing to do that, to me, that would show me that you're reformed and you're willing to, make amends and try again. Which is why I
Yeah.
reckon they're offering you that second chance in the first place.
I spoke
Um,
of Germans that were banned previously, so San of NLG. And when I was speaking to him, obviously he's one of the more known bands. I think there's like loads of clips and we get like live band in a ESEA official or something.
oh God.
And I was like, so how do people treat you? And it was like, well, it's a German scene. It's completely different. Like they forgave me after 2 years. They didn't treat me like I'm a scumbag. Like I think a lot of people forget the it's a game.
Yeah.
And I think if you're not cheating someone out of like money or competitive integrity, I think a lot of people are able to forgive you, especially in that German scene.
Mm.
Hmm.
And I was like, yeah, like I'm not getting the same response in the UK. Like I'm getting like a lot of cold shoulders. Like a lot of people are just like saw me as like a bad person, which to me is like if you knew me, I'm like a really nice person. I'm like the one always laughing, making jokes, like a nice, bubbly person. But
Well,
like it was into like he's a cheat, he's a scumbag. Like
well, this is the thing, is it? I mean, if you get banned for 2 years, like, what's the point in having a number on it if you can't find your way back? I mean, it might as well
exactly
be
right.
an indefinite ban. I mean, I still don't think it was right that you got banned for such a long period of time for using the same exploit that other people were using. Not that I necessarily think it absolutely condones any of it, but you got to be consistent across the board. I mean,
Yeah.
that's one
I
thing
think if you're using any exploit or any sort of cheat or anything like that gives you an advantage in game, it should be 2 years. Like 3 months is a fucking joke. Not being
I think
funny.
Mm.
the issue they ran into is that they specifically defined like the changing of sprites and a whole new ruling to cheating. Whereas
Hmm.
to me, like what I did was cheating, and what the Swedes did was also cheating, and everyone should have had the same the outcome.
That's what. Yeah, that's what I mean. 2 years
That's not
across the
saying
board
I should
in
be
a way.
3 months. That's me saying
Yeah.
that like there should
Yeah,
be
yeah.
consistency here because it caused a lot of loopholes. I know I wasn't the only one to get banned in that time either. Like I think like 15, 20 people got banned. And some people managed to evade a ban too, so managed to dodge that bullet.
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, yeah, as I said, I think 3 months is a fucking joke for cheating. Like,
Yeah, I agree, man.
that's mental to me.
Well, the thing is, even a
That's
year is
the risk to
enough.
reward ratio is like, that's just. No, a year, even a year, like a
Well-
year is. Again, I think 2 years is about the right amount, but even a year in esports is a fucking long
Obviously,
time.
look at the situations if you go to a highest level though. Like, I mean, obviously the UK scene isn't exactly known for being top tier, but you know, if you ban someone for 2 years at the highest level, they're not coming back at that level again almost ever.
And I think
No.
that's the point, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think that's the point. If you ban a young kid that made a really stupid mistake, then you're not taking his life and his love away for the game, right? You're just saying like,
course,
this is how much like you fucked up. This 2 years is for you to grow as a person.
hmm
This is for you to develop as a player. Like, fix your shit now and come back in 2 years, and then you can try again.
I mean, look, if you
Yeah.
can make your way
Um,
back at the end of that, it really says a lot about, you know, your character and your skill ability to, you know, kind of come off
Yeah,
playing
of
at the highest
course.
level and then come straight back into it. It does say a lot.
I think it
Mm.
depends how you come back. Like, I don't think I've dealt it with the nicest way. Like, I've
Mm.
got myself involved in a bit of drama here and there, especially with like just throwing my opinion around.
UKCS that.
Yeah, it's UKCS to be honest, and I don't think people in the UK scene like opinions from people, let alone if it's someone that's cheated and they're not friends with. So
Yeah.
to them, it's like your opinion like is just kind of pointless. So it's fine. Like I expected it, but I don't know. To me, I agree. Like 2 years is fine. You come back and you should be another chance. But if you're gonna come back at like an asshole and nothing changed, like just go away. Like just don't come back. That's my opinion anyway.
Yeah. No, I agree with you on that. Do you think it's like so that whole 2 year ban? Maybe you said like it's you've got into a good team already, as I said. Do you think this is gonna be an issue like long term? Like I don't know how far you kind of want to push with CS, but do you think the advanced, the MDL kind of teams, the big organizations, going to look into that background and think it's going to be an issue? Do you think that's going to be an issue at all? Or do you think it's just going to be water under the bridge, so to speak?
I mean, if Endpoint can forgive me, I don't see why. Let's say if we made advanced and XENEX, like got rid of us and we wanted to look for a new org, I don't think honestly it would be a big challenge. Like every org owner that I've spoken to, it's like, yeah, okay, it's been 2 years, like who cares now? And I'm like, well, actually, a lot of people, like you have to understand when you pick up me, you're picking up the reputation that there's a cheater in your team. And that like you're gonna get shit in Twitch chat, you're gonna get shit on Twitter, you're gonna get stuff all over the board. And I think orgs at this point are so used to getting crap about everything anyway that having someone
just
that's
take it
come
on the
back
chin, innit?
and clearly made an effort, they're just like whatever, like Twitter comments at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you get so used to people just talking shit and hating.
Yeah.
It's whatever, isn't it? Have you kind of burnt any bridges like permanently because of it? Like, is there anyone that you were kind of friends with before or got on with, or just won't talk to anymore because of it? Have you had any of that
Sure,
going on, or is
it's
it?
really. I had the only people I fell out with actually is my former teammates, which was expected. I think that went down like a complete, just like a house fire. It was terrible. So I got banned. One of our teammates was also using the same exploit. Also, he claimed to me. So I said, look, like I understand I'm banned. This was at a time when Faceit were going to be coming out with like Faceit leagues, and it was going to be like the new thing. I know there's a lot of rumors about it. So I was like, why don't we just wait 3 months, stick out as a team? And they were like, like ESEA main's a big deal for us. Like that's not gonna be the case. And I'm like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
And they're like, but we're still gonna continue with this other cheater. And I'm like, that's not cool to me. Like, I understand that you want to continue. You could take the core 3. And then they decided to like take some of my winnings and stuff and like try and scam me out of like $400 or something. And I kind of just didn't allow that to happen. So it went completely the wrong way. But they're the only bridges I burnt, really. A lot of my former teammates were like, "Oh, Bevve, like, what have you done? Like, you're an idiot." But they were more so supportive than anything.
Yeah.
They were like, just like, "You made a mistake." Like, a lot of my IGLs, like, I've always teamed with older people. I know there's questions there about my favorite teammates. I've always tended to team with like older Germans. So that they just saw me as like this little kid because I'm super hyperactive, like I said. And in my current team now, will say like Bevve is like one of the oldest, but he's still the kid of the group. So they're like, what have you done? But yeah, no, I haven't been any bridges personally.
That's good. That's good to hear. Like most people will kind of keep you back in. That's good to hear. We're kind of going into like the whole XENEX thing that's going on. What kind of other tournaments? I mean, obviously you just played a game of ESL Prem. What other tournaments are you guys kind of active in at the moment? Would
Oh,
you
I think
remain in that,
we're
or
yeah. So we're gonna remain in those two. Um, and obviously we're a new lineup, so we haven't been able to practice at all. We haven't actually practiced as a team really to like try and learn a new map. Like we've just been preparing for the next game. Like today was all about like trying to see what Royals would do. We were talking before like what maps we want to go to. Like we push them like onto like one of our better maps, but not our best. Like we're always playing against the other team's weaknesses. So we're just preparing for the next. So I think we need a long preseason, and then we'll revisit that discussion of what we want to compete in the near future. But for now, I think we're just doing those two cash cups, and there's some tournament coming up. I think maybe like the Logitech one or something. I'm not sure.
oh yeah, that's the one that got
Um,
moved. That's the one that caused the UKCS Cash Cup to get moved, wasn't it? The Logitech thing.
so I think we're playing in those four, but
Mhm.
ESL Prem's our main focus right now.
Yeah, no, that's a very important thing to be in. That's a very fucking good league to be in.
Hmm.
4 months after coming back, that's pretty fucking impressive being an ESL Prem.
It's still serious. My manager just told me in chat. It's not Logitech.
Steel Series. Okay.
Yeah,
So you got loads coming up. That's good to hear. So
we've got a fair amount.
when all this COVID crap that's keeping us all locked in, everything's online at the moment. When lands do start back up again, do you think you're gonna have any issues there? Do you think there's gonna be people that are like fucking pointing the finger that's the person that was fucking cheating?
Oh,
Or do you think
of
it's
course,
just gonna
like
be pretty normal? What do you think's gonna happen there?
I mean, yeah, if I go to a land, people are going to be like, "Oh, that's Bevve, right? Like, that's a cheater." They're not going to be happy. They're not probably not going to greet me in person and stuff. Like, that's fine.
Mhm.
Like when I first got banned, I received like probably like 50 to 100 death threats, and a lot of like threats of people like, "You
Jesus
have turned up on land,
Christ.
like I'm going to fucking kick your head in," type of shit. I'm like, that's just not going to happen. Like, you're from the
Yeah, no.
UK, you probably weigh like 80 pounds, and you're like 5'6". Like, it's not going to happen. And I understand why people are angry, so I don't hold any bad feelings for those guys.
To be fair, a lot of
But
those
no, I
kids
don't
get
think
very
it'll
brave.
happen.
A lot get very brave. Like jumped up on a LucasAid Sports.
Yeah,
Yeah,
true.
very
Yeah.
very easy to say all that shit when you're sat
Sugar
behind a
goes
fucking
straight to
keyboard.
them. Yeah, it's very easy to, right? And like, I'm not a big person at all. Like, I'm not saying I'm chiseled and ripped, gonna beat up these kids, but like,
Six
they're
foot
not.
8, 400
Yeah,
pounds, built
six
like
foot
a
eight.
lineman.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mate,
Like,
do you not remember what happened with Afro at one of the Epic Lands where he got carjacked and just took a hammer to the head and took it like a champ?
what the? No, I didn't hear about
I didn't
this.
hear
Oh,
about
you
that
remember
either.
this?
Fuck
Oh no, he
yeah.
got so basically, the owner of Radix. He was driving back to the hotel. I think it was either an Epic LAN or something like that, and they tried to carjack him. Slapped him over the head with a hammer. I don't even
You
think.
kill someone that
Yeah. I
easily.
don't even think they got the. I don't think they got the car in the end. I think he like actually. Guy got hit in the head with a hammer, stood his ground.
Yeah, Afro
Fair
insane
play.
on and off the server, I guess.
Yeah.
Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
Wow,
Fucking
crazy.
hell.
But in short, I don't think anyone's gonna try anything at LAN. Like,
No.
I'll be there
Nobody
with 5
does.
other teammates as well, and a coach and stuff. Like,
Yeah, no,
you're not just
I'm
gonna walk up to a group of lads and just be like, "Yeah, fuck you," like, let's fight. Like, it's not gonna
yeah,
happen.
no. It was more like as well, like, is there going to be that hostile atmosphere that I
Oh,
would
more than
guess would
likely,
you get?
yeah.
And then
Probably
also like
100%.
more like the fighting stuff is always a bit funny to talk about because everyone's always talking shit about they're going to
Yeah,
kick you in
yeah.
and land. But it's more a case of like that hostile atmosphere that you're going to get. Do you think that's going to, and like obviously playing on LAN as well for the first time in God knows how long, do you think that's going to be like a big impact on you guys?
Oh,
Sat
yeah,
there being I mean, some people feed off being hated. They kind of
yeah,
view it as like an underdog thing. Do you think it's going to be a good thing,
yeah.
or do you think it's going to hurt you?
So originally, like at the first, I took it quite badly. I was like instantly like in regret. Like, this is really like shit. Like, getting all these threats and stuff. Like, it made me like kind of like not on edge. Like, I wasn't taking the threat seriously at all. But it's just like, if you have enough people telling you that you're a cunt and like they
Of
want you
course.
I
dead,
feel like you
basically,
are.
like it just gets
Yeah.
you. But at LAN, like they're gonna be shouting stuff at me. Probably hear Cypher screaming, "You're going home" or something. It'll
Yeah,
happen
for sure.
like completely.
Yeah.
And without a doubt, it'll be hostile. But I'm just using that as like you said, like energy now. I'm just eating it up and using it back against them. So
Yeah,
helps
eat
me
that
more than
hatred up,
anything.
mate. Use it for fuel.
Yeah, exactly.
You haven't a bit of a mention before about obviously playing with a load of German players before, like older German players. What do you think the biggest differences that you found? Like, what are any of the differences really you found between playing with like a load of German players to playing with UK players? What do you think is the big difference there?
And discipline mindset, like the UK scene, complete trash when it comes to how people want to approach the game, like off the server. It's just a shame because I think the UK scene is just so insane, like mechanically. Like some of the best pug players out there, like mechanically just gifted players, but like the scene is just so pent up in the wrong way. Um, again, like it's just hard to play with, and I've like it was something one of the main reasons I kind of didn't want to join Endpoint Academy at the beginning. It's like I don't want to play with UK players. Like they're all just really negative people. From what I'd experienced, I no longer think as badly as this, but that like lack of discipline. Like people just stroll up like an hour late to practice at times and act like nothing's happened. They're like
Oh, yeah,
sleeping
fuck
late,
that.
and it's just like you're wasting all of our time. It's just wrong.
Didn't
So-
you lose a map at LAN ALCAN because of that?
Oh, mate, I knew that was coming. I knew that was coming for somebody. I was going to see it in the chat. I was going to see it from one of you. Yeah, no, I missed a fucking part of I missed an entire map of best three. Someone slept for an event. I slept for the
it's a
first
joke,
map.
right? Like,
Yeah.
and unfortunately, it's too common in the UK scene, and of course it happens in Germany as well, and it happens across Europe. But not to this extent. Like, holy, like I teamed with one UK team, and I swear to God, I will never play with more than 3 UK players ever again.
Jeez. That
Just
bad, huh?
because of the experiences I've had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
It was, well, I played with 2 or 3, but yeah, never again.
So
Honestly.
are you completely bilingual then, Bevve? You speak German fluently, I imagine.
No, not at all. So every team I've joined, they always spoke English. So I
Right.
joined 3 Germans and a Turk, and they
Yeah.
spoke English fluently for
Okay.
me. So yeah, that's
All
it.
right. So how do you find the communication differences with someone speaking in a kind of second language? We did speak with DHEXSSCENE about this when he was playing, kind of European
He said there was
mixes.
issues, right?
Yeah, he said at
Yeah.
times, but I mean, I think most of the people he was with were mostly kind of Nordic countries where generally their English
Yeah.
is pretty spot on.
Oh, their English is better than most
Yeah.
English people, right? Like
More
it's
or
just
less,
incredible. Yeah. So with the Germans is you can get like really thick accents like across the country. So
Mhm.
like a Berliner compared to someone from Munich or down south is crazy. And like they'll pronounce stuff funny, and you can take the mick out of them or whatnot. But
Yeah, of course.
that's that happens. But no, I had no comm issues personally, and if there ever was, like they would just use me to like learn English anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
So they'd be like, "Did I say this right?" And I'm like, "Well, actually, like, yeah, you did. Like, nothing's wrong with it
Well,
technically.
actually,
but there's actually a
no.
saying for this."
Yeah, just saying them. They actually know
Like-
you're an idiot. Stop.
Yeah, you're an idiot. Go back to Germany.
Stop trying. Stop
Go
trying. Just give up.
No,
Yeah.
but yes, you're right, but you're not.
No,
No,
but
of
yes. But no communication issues. It's probably one of the best communicated teams actually. Is when
Well,
I was playing
yeah.
back then.
I would imagine, you speaking English as a second language, especially if you're, communicating the differences, you're only going to say what you actually have to say. I mean,
Exactly.
comms are going to be nice and clear.
You're not going to be having any discussions mid-round about how fucking lucky that guy was.
Anyone-
Yeah,
Anyone-
exactly. It's-
Anyone watch Coronation Street last night?
Mate, fucking
You watch Corey?
Coronation Street. Jesus Christ, how, like, you just dated yourself so fucking hard there, Harky, mate. Fucking hell, Coronation Street. Jesus
I'm a year
Christ.
older than you, mate. Not even.
Jesus
Yeah, but seriously,
Christ.
that's bad, mate. That's bad.
More of an EastEnders guy, I'll be honest.
Oh,
but,
course.
like,
Christ.
but
All the shit fucking TV shows are coming out now. Christ.
yeah, no, they're all in the bin. yeah. But no, German teams for me have communicated always better than
That
So
doesn't surprise
What
me.
was the draw to just kind of like you kind of got into with a German guy when you were queuing up one time, or so you got an offer from a German team specifically, or like what kind of initiated that preference to playing with German players?
Actually, such a convenient story because I was I was one of the UK players that always pugged the ESEA back in like 2018 when it was still relevant, unfortunately. Rest in peace. And I queued against 2 of my friends, Tube and Link, German Link. I don't know if any of you guys know him. And basically, I played against them, and with one of them, they used to like queue against each other and piss each other off. And my friend Tube was like, "Wow, you're actually really good." But I was like ranked like B+, and these guys were ranked G's. Again, when this kind of meant something. This is when like Mizuta, Deos, and stuff.
Oh
were
yeah, no,
playing
I
it
remember.
regularly.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Holy shit! Like a ranked G rates me. Like that's so sick." And I'm like, I was like facing level like 8 or 9 at the time. And I just played over. I think like a 2. Like I'd like quit the game. And he was like, "Yeah, we'll play it, Bev." Left it there. Then I queue a week later, and I'm on their team again. And this time, it's me, Tube Link, against a guy called Yannick in this, who is the other German and Turk player that I'll end up teaming with in months to come.
Yeah.
So I play against him. They're like, "Oh, Bev again. How you doing, man? We're just talking with game." He's like, "I'm gonna add you. We'll pug later." We just pugged every day for months. I got myself to rank G. Went from like B+, face at rank 8 to I think I was like 2.9k elo and like rank G in like
Jeez.
3 months, and I just like increased tenfold. It was really fun.
Mhm.
And then I just ended up teaming with them. They're like, "You want to make a team? You got a main spot. You can come play with us." I was like, "Awesome!" Like I'd want nothing more than that, to be honest.
Jeez, it's like a miracle offer just kind of dropped in your lap.
Yeah,
Really.
exactly. It just dropped on my lap, and I was I can't believe it, to be honest. I was like,
But
yeah.
did you have any experience before that in like open or insta? Did you just go straight into a main team?
So I had an open season. I think I had like 60 ADR or something because we were mixing with a UK team, and it was the roughest season of my life. I think we folded
Wow.
after like 5 games.
She
So
literally went
I
from an
was
open
like,
team to a main team out of
oh, straight to
fucking
main,
nowhere.
yeah, just
Jeez,
straight to
wow.
main.
Okay, that's
I
crazy.
had to like learn all this like TMCS stuff. and
Yeah.
It was
How
so
was
weird.
that then? Like, yeah, how was that? Because like, not being funny, like
It's a big jump.
yeah, like
Yeah, it's a huge jump.
I've played like a good couple of seasons of open and intis before I played any sort of main. It took me about 3 or 4 games to adjust to that level.
And I taught him
Before I
everything he knew as well, so.
Oh,
That's
fuck
probably
off,
why he got chopped in the end.
yeah, literally. Mate, I mean, it took me too long to get up to speed, but you know
Yeah,
what I
it's
mean. Like,
lucky.
how the fuck do you find that going from like no team CS straight up to a main, to playing in main? How did you adjust to that?
I was lucky because I managed to play with a really experienced IGL. I think he was like 28 years old at the time. And these guys I pugged with like every day for like 5 hours. So like our chemistry had already like
Yeah,
was
you had that
insane.
synergy going already.
So at the
Yeah,
end of the day, it was literally just drawing board. Or IGL would come in like, "This is this strat." They would like write it all down, and then we'd just rinse and repeat. And they would like hold my hand. I'm like, I'd make mad plays, and that's the difference with Germans is they're like call you out in your shit there and then. They'll do it in a good way. If you dare do it again, you're getting the boot. Like you don't like mess with an older German at all. Like the respect they expect from like a younger, like I guess a person in my position that deserved nothing was like crazy.
well,
So
yeah, you'd
like
have
if
been
I
given
gave them any shit,
opportunities.
they
So
already knew I was gone. So yeah,
yeah,
I just kept my mouth shut, did what I was told, and just learned as much as I could around these players.
sounds like you made good use of the opportunity. To be fair,
Yeah, of course. Yeah, 100%.
how long did you play
used
with
to
those
it.
guys for then?
I think we played for 3 months to 6 months. So
Wow.
I think this was back when, yeah, this is good old days. It's when they used to do like map rotations in ESEA seasons. So you'd have like the first 2 weeks cash, the
I
second
forgot
2
about that.
weeks
Oh
mirage.
God, yeah, I forgot
Yeah.
about that.
So me and Crick were
Christ.
speaking about it the other day, and he was like, "Do you remember that?" And I was like, "Holy shit! Like, yeah, that was insane. It was so much better because you could actually prep for each map and continue and continue."
Yeah.
As a new team, it was really helpful. So yeah, it was good. But that was like season 28 or something, season 29.
Yeah, I think
Um,
season 29 was the last you played. I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think season 29 was the last I played, but that was with a different roster, I think. So I was in a main team. I played like half a season. Had a like in that season, I think one of my teammates had like really bad depression. He had to quit the game, and one of my other teammates had a really bad incident with his family, so he also left the game. So I was without my IGO and one of my like best friends. So the team, and then one of them had uni obligations. The other one wasn't really feeling it, so I was offered from Luxor at the time, so I took the opportunity.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's a rough situation to come out of, to be fair. But
Yeah, it wasn't fun.
got to do what's in your interest at the end of the day. What kind of like even back as far as then to up to now, what kind of roles have you played and what do you kind of gravitate towards? What kind of role do you prefer?
It's weird because like I can play pretty much anything besides like entry because like I can happily admit my mechanical skill is just complete like trash. Like mechanically speaking, I'm not that great. And I'm not the most experienced of players. I've lent more towards a support or like a lurk role.
Mhm.
At CT side, I'll always be the rotate player as well.
Yeah,
Trying to just help out.
yeah, just rely on the brain then more than your aim kind of thing.
With the Endpoint Academy though, they actually put me through as an HL. I think
Really?
myself and YT spoke, and he was like, how would you feel about it? And I was
And
like,
this
to be honest, it's something I'm
experience, isn't
passionate
it?
about. Yeah, I was like, it's something I'm passionate about. I'm not any good at it. Like I've never really given it full try. And he said, that's fine, that's fine. Like you have the fundamentals down anyway. Like it's not hard to then like even if it's been a few months, you can like put it into something.
Mhm.
Like who's better to do it in the UK scene at this point than like that support network?
Yeah. That whole process, how did you find that whole endpoint process? Because I've seen like
Um,
obviously Nem, I'm still good friends with him after playing
yeah,
with him
of
so long.
course.
He put up that Twitter that kind of did a lot of work where it's basically saying they're leaving it too late. They're basically fucking people's off season by leaving
Hmm.
it that late for whatever reason. And obviously it's good to see you and Magic pull out so that you can actually focus on improving on your off season. You're not going to get poached right at the end and basically fuck over the rest of your teammates. How's that kind of whole process gone down? What do you think about that?
I think like anyone like judging the opportunities given, or like saying that the team's gonna be like dogging at an open might make instance or something like first season, or like a group that land.
That's bullshit.
I think they need to like take a bit of a look at themselves and like just kind of give themselves a bit of a slap. Like it's not true. They're gonna have a good roster by the end of it. I hope
100%.
anyway.
Yeah, no, there's a good talent pool in there. They'll definitely get
Of
teams that
course.
can bang. Like they're not going to get grouped in epic lands and stuff like that, or they're not going to dog an open season. They're good players in there.
There's some good players in there, and I think I don't know if we watch much of the academy like games that they had this weekend. Like some players like really surprised me. Like players that I don't speak too often like came up and like played really well. And proved themselves to be like good players and performing better than some like the bigger names in there. So that was great to see. But first, the timing was just a bit off. Like they announced it at the beginning of the season, and this is when me and Magic had already dropped 3 players on our team because for like one reason or another, it just happened that way. So our team had joined like the +3 Mixon and Addy had all come along and said like, yeah, that's fine. You know, we can just continue next season without you guys. But we thought it would be, you know, we'd know before the end of the season. Or roughly around that time anyway. But it, you know, they put an announcement in the Endpoint Academy Discord that it was going to be done to the 17th of next month, which obviously is like I think like a month into preseason or something, right?
Yeah. I think if Nem's tweet's accurate, it's a week before the next season of ESEA starts.
Yeah, which just isn't like something we could actually commit to, because what's this? Like we're a new team. We're pretty much we're not a mix at this point. Like we are a team, but we have like a lot of work to do. I think anyone that watches this knows that we have potential, but we have a lot to do. Let's say me and Magic both didn't get in, which was pretty unlikely anyway. But let's say worst case scenario we didn't get in, and we had to come back to XENEX, then we've missed this entire preseason.
Yeah.
Of course we could have practiced still, but getting 3 others on that think you're leaving in like 3 weeks time, like good luck with getting that
not a good
energy from them. Yeah,
exactly. And they're also probably going to be shopping around as well, aren't they? They'll think,
of course, yeah, like they'll be looking to replaces. Yeah, of course.
Not even just that, they might be looking at getting out themselves. You know, what main teams are LF1 or whatever. You know.
Yeah,
going back to what you were just saying there about the team previously. I mean, I think you had Sorex, Barter, and I can't remember the last player in that team. It was the mix at the start. Something that's it.
Yeah,
it was the mix at the start of the season. What kind of went on there? I mean, obviously, you doesn't need to go into detail.
Yeah, no,
it's deep, but
there's nothing personal in there. So I was playing for a team called Lions at the beginning of the season. They actually got relegated from Inters this season. The team that Icon went to actually. So I was offered a main spot, and I was like, well, I'd be stupid to turn this down. So I came and went over, and Sammy also joined. They told us after the fact, after like an official, that we're just a mix, so they don't want to prac. And then me, Sammy, and Jack, along with Magic, we kind of want to prac with more. Arthur didn't have the time. He'd been very open with us about this. He was like, I just don't have the time. So we had to discuss as a team, like, do we just continue like this, dog our stats out, not make Endpoint Academy because we're playing a bad season, or do we try and put it like all into it? So the decision was made to drop Arthur at that point.
Fair enough.
Moving forward, I forget who's next to. I think it may have been Sammy. So Sammy had said, like, guys, I've got an advanced trial, and I said that's fine. I said you can take this trial, but you're not going to remain on the active roster if you decide to take that trial. Like, we'll find another one, because like we can't have like that insecurity at the middle of the season. Like we were at that point, I think like 2 and 5 or something. Like we needed to start winning.
Securing that spot.
Yeah, we needed to. We're 1 and 5 at this point, sorry. So we needed to start winning at this point. So I said, okay, like that's fine. You have a decision to make. You take it, and we'll put you to the bench if you don't get in, or you can stay. We'll work with you, and we can make it work. And he decided the first option, that you would take the trial. So we decided to pick up Crit at that Crit, I think, Crit and Salty around that time.
Yeah. So I'm guessing Salty was kind of your 6th man. Is that how that went?
No, so when so obviously Jack after that was also removed. That's something more personal. That's for him to talk about. I'm not going to come and cause drama. He was like very honest with it there. So yeah, he needed to go. So we picked up. I think the roster at the time was Salty, myself, Crit, Magic, and Addy, RHL. So we went with that. Again, Salty, really good mechanically gifted player. Probably make it quite far, but wasn't the right fit for us. And we had like a ton of issues as well as a team. So
Yep.
again, we thought we wanted to go for a more experienced player that can help us like bring the season out of the rut, really. So that's when we picked up Mixon.
Yeah. He's German, right? Is that right, or where's he from?
Who, Mixon? No, Mixon's
Yeah.
Swedish, and so is Eddie.
Swedish. Oh, okay, so you got 2 Swedes and then okay.
Yeah, 2 Swedes. Yeah, an American and Magic. And then Crit's English, but / Australian.
Okay, wicked. Yeah, the / Australian there, the dual citizenship we were talking about earlier. So kind of circling back a little bit right up to the top then, what kind of looking at CS in general now kind of thing. Like we've seen a lot of people talk about it online and stuff like that, like different changes in CS that kind of need to be made. I've seen a lot of people saying like Deagle spam needs to be nerfed, stuff like that. What kind of changes, if you had control right now, what would you change in CS right now?
Because I was someone that got a lot of stick for it, but I said this Deagle spam needed a fix like 3 years ago. I said it's ridiculous. Like the fact you can fire a 50 cal pistol, it's 2 hit point, like close range. The 700 is just crazy. Like every PL game, I know like if you're just playing train, for example, I always know that someone's going to sit bottom of that ramp at CT side and just easily get 3-4 kills.
Look, I think it's perfectly fair to have a gun that costs almost, if not less than most shotguns, and kills you quicker at closer range. So what?
Perfectly balanced.
If somebody tells me that's overpowered, I don't want to play the game.
Yeah.
It's mental.
Like, you can just spam that. It's crazy.
Yeah, but besides that, though, in terms of balancing, I'm not really too sure. Honestly, just a weird one. I'd like to see like make the zoos a bit more viable. Maybe give it a slight increase of the money you get for getting a zoo skill.
Yeah.
I think that would be just
Be fun.
interesting. Yeah, it'd be fun. I don't know how serious it would turn into, but it's a little cool thing I'd like to see. Anyway.
All I'm saying is bring jump scaling back. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, bring jump scaling back. Good old days.
Yeah.
Bring back the double jump bug that they had
I
in
miss
for
jump
a
scaling,
week.
bro. Jump scaling was elite.
Yeah.
So much fun.
God, I'll tell you what though. I'll tell you what the most tilting thing is when you Zeus somebody for like 80 damage.
Ah,
should not
God,
happen.
that
should not be a thing. That can get to fuck. That bollocks. That is. Fuck that. So, as we were talking about, you guys, I think you were 9-7 in main this season. Is that right?
Yeah, we ended up 9-7. We put it back really well.
Yeah, no, considering like all the stuff we just talked about, roster and stuff, that's fucking incredible. You guys have kept that. Such a good scoreline. What's your goals then? You boys have done really well. I said you're practicing now. You've committed to the team. You and Magic. What are your goals for next season? As you said, you want to stay in EPS. Obviously,
yeah, for sure. I think right now we want to finish top 4 in ESL. That's our aim. I think it's realistic. I think the results we've had recently can prove we can do it if we play like how we want to play. Obviously, we've had 2 good results against Aura and Vexed, or XENEX even. So there were 2 really strong results for us. So we want to finish 4th in ESL and play again next season. And maybe try and make top 3 and playoffs for next season too. For the main, get HLTV for the team and whatnot would be also.
Oh yeah, everyone wants HLTV, huh?
Yeah, of course.
We all want that little bragging right you can stick in a Steam profile.
Yeah.
So you've kind of got a good mix of players that you play with in EU, obviously, but not so much for the UK. But who do you reckon the best player is on an individual basis that you've played with?
In my history, for the entire time,
you played with.
I think the best individual. Obviously, I haven't played this roster for long, so I'm not going to mention any of their names. But I would say Link from when I played with him in Truckfella back in the German scene. The guy was insane, mechanically.
Yeah, the German Link. Huh?
So just so crisp, so clean all the time. Yeah, one of the best individual players I've seen.
Interesting. From me saying that, UK players got that mechanical skill. Was he kind of just mechanical? Was he have mechanical, the intelligence?
Well, I think it was a mixture of anything. He was mechanically great. Like he could, like any ESEA player back then, they could open up any round with their skill.
Yeah.
Which is something that always made pugs them for me much more fun. Like anyone could go ham with a Deagle, whereas now it's like everything's so different in terms of the way pug plays out. So not only was he like mechanically gifted, he was smart, he was disciplined, and he was also a good teammate, and a good friend.
Hmm.
So if you did something wrong, he knew how to give you the advice, but not like upset you with it or not tilt you with it. And yeah, he just fit in well to every system.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. What kind of you're obviously, as you said, new team practicing. What do you think's the biggest obstacle for you guys now? Going into next season.
I think the biggest obstacle to ourselves right now is honestly just ourselves. Like there's nothing stopping this roster becoming like a consistent top 5 UK team. If you'd consider it UK team anyway. It just depends on how efficient we are with our practices. How much time we put to use and whatnot. And obviously, if we can stick together, that would be we want to look at the next few seasons and try and make a long term goal here.
Yeah. Now, what kind of goals would you say? What's on the cards for you? What kind of goals have you got?
Well, I mean, look at UMX. I think they went from just like the average UK team. They started winning event, and now they're the best UK team in my opinion. Obviously, I don't consider Endpoint a UK team, so UMX for me are number one.
Yeah.
I think to replicate some sort of success, especially with a story like that, like because they were real underdogs. I'd love to achieve like similar sort of like achievements that they have. To be honest.
Yeah, I mean, they've definitely shown that it's fucking doable. I mean, completely unorthodox style of play, but it
Yeah,
fucking
I love
works
it though.
for
They're the
sure.
most entertaining team right now to watch
Yeah,
in the UK.
exactly. It's great to watch. I mean, as they call themselves, the budget Furia, but they
Yeah, of course.
play really, really fun to watch CS, and
Oh,
they
they're so
fucking
fun.
win games.
Yeah, they're winning games. They're entertaining. Their style of play is great. And also like they have like obviously 5 great individuals, so any one of them
that
could pop
helps.
off.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. They're all fucking insane players individually. So
yeah, they're nuts.
yeah, hard to see that going. Two of them, 3 of them go off. You just screwed, really, aren't you? Because they've got those individual talents. Let's go. On EPS, talking about that. Who do you think? Have you got like bookmarked to win EPS then? Because obviously Endpoint are the favourites, but do you think
I
UMX
mean,
can push them over? Do you reckon Chets are going to be there?
I don't think Chet's personally will be there simply because they're a mix at the end of the day, and I think teams with slightly like more discipline and more structure to them, like Aura even, and Vex can like definitely take results off them in a best of 3. So I think for them, they'll be probably making the same goal of us, which is top 4. And I think we'll be kind of fighting with them to make a top 4. I think Endpoint will always be favourites just because, like they're able to just remove Flames, he's not eligible, and just pick up another pro player that's salaried in like the form of Thomas. So like they should be winning it. But I think UMX can cause an upset. I mean, look at how close they came with a coach. I mean, I love Keto, but he's not quite the same.
No,
As
he ain't a great player, let's be honest.
Yeah, of course. It's
Yeah.
Mazza, right? That keeps crashing.
Star Orper for
Yeah.
not so great ex-coach.
Yeah, exactly. I think they could have actually taken the map off them if they had their roster.
Yeah, no, definitely. I definitely see that happening. So, kind of going to more individually for you, kind of dual question here, but how do you, given that we're all in this COVID shithole kind of thing, everything's online, how do you stay motivated to kind of keep playing, keep practicing, staying on top of it? And what kind of training do you do to stay, as crisp as you are, keep performing well, all that sort of thing?
Mainly my practice routine is just basically with my team at this point. Obviously, I have my individual aim training, like gamebots, deathmatch. Like I'll try and do like 2 to 3 hours that day. I've been slacking on that bit recently because I'm feeling about under the weather. But normally I'm doing that pretty consistently. And then we've got, I think, I'd have to check our schedule, but I want to say a rough estimate of 20 to 25 hours of team prep a week.
Yeah. Gosh, good hours.
So yeah, like I only enjoy Team CS. So I just left UKPL, not enjoying it at all. Don't like the environment. So I don't really pug. Like if Dexy or something will invite me or like another friend, like I'll go and pug with them. But I will never go out my way to play a pug.
Yeah, you're not going to start asking around for a 5 stack.
Yeah, no, you won't find me queuing. I'll get like asked at like 4 a.m. I think it's a good idea. Drop like double neg and then just never want to play again.
Fair enough. Sounds about like my pug experience.
Yeah.
Sounds about like the level 8 experience, doesn't it? Harky, how do you feel about it?
Doesn't change at any level, mate. Right at the bottom dregs where I'm at the moment. Not that I don't play anymore either, but when I do manage to get on, it is a awful experience.
You've got the org logo up there on the Discord it's popping up on the stream for everyone. How are you finding XENEX as an org?
ownership is like really, really nice, really chill. Like they're like you can sit in a Discord call with them late night and just talk absolute rubbish to each other, and it's like a good community environment. But at the same time, they're like also professionals. They have like their business set out, and they know what they want to do in the future. They have realistic goals they want to make. They're very transparent, so we can have asked for anything more from XENEX at this current time for sure.
It's good to hear.
They're
I
just
mean,
been great
that's
for
kind of
us.
that's the kind of orgs we want to have. You know, that's what we need more of. We don't need any more of these, you know, the money snatchers that you hear about all the time in esports, even at the tier 1 level. It's good to hear that we've got some orgs that are doing, you know, doing good by the players and stuff like that, and doing good by the scene. You know, just doing an honest graph is good to hear. So I know you guys have been trialing Mythics as a coach recently. How's he been? How's that been? You know, having a coach in, helping you out with, you know, the demo review strategy. How have you guys been finding having a coach?
So Mythics, for the entire time he's been here, except today, has actually just been an analyst for us. So
Mhm.
he's just been giving us notes on the teams we're playing, giving us feedback to ourselves, and like coming back and forth. But he's not very like he's not very vocal. Whereas we've now we were looking for a coach, and you know he came to us as like, can like I do it? Like you know I know what to do, and I said if no one else is against it, like I support the decision. Like we can run it on a trial basis. And then we can discuss after a few weeks and come to a conclusion. But yeah, he's been really helpful. He just needs to work on being more vocal to the team because like he needs to understand that like whilst he may not have played to the level we have, like even in like main, it's not that high of a level anyway. But like he needs to be able to call out like us on the stuff we're doing, and he needs to be able to like assert some sort of authority.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, you want your coach to be able to, you know,
Yeah,
break
of
people's
course.
balls if they're not doing stuff right. And
Yeah, of course. And we need that, and you know he needs that too. So
I think every
I have no
player's ego
doubt.
needs a bit of that sometimes.
Oh, of
You know,
course, yeah. It's one
crush
of the
them down a
biggest
bit.
issues.
Yeah, definitely
Absolutely.
in the UK for sure. So kind of want to again going into. I mean, as you said, you were off a bit from the scene. You don't interact with too much with many people there, but getting back into it now, is there anyone that's kind of helped you guys as a team work on things? Is there anyone that's kind of come in and just shown you a couple of things that you're doing wrong, helped out at all, or not? Not really.
Again, like we're pretty like we're kind of like in the scene, but we're not. Like Magic doesn't go out his way to speak to people in the UK scene. Crit was only really familiar with the guys who to Valorant.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's not like he's actively speaking to anyone. Obviously, I've just come out for a cheat ban, so I'm not speaking to anyone. And the other two are like Swedish, so like it's not like we're getting the most help from the UK scene, which is expected because we're not exactly asking for it.
Yeah, yeah.
But I've gone to a few individuals and asked for help and advice here and there. Like I've gone to Emperor a few times, actually about XENEX, and just asked him like, is this a good decision? Like, are they good people? And he
Mhm.
was like the lovely people, like in your owner. He was like super nice guy. Was
Yeah.
able to like give us advice along the way. So you know, there's been some individuals, but like no one's come into the server and shown us anything or done anything like that for us.
Okay. So,
Well, if you guys
so
are ready, we've only got I think one more question from you, ALCAN, and we can move to the Q&A section. We've got a couple questions
Sounds good.
from the chat. I believe you were watching a lot of demos at the moment, Bev, as well, with the kind of how you guys are going about things. So I know when you obviously playing at that high level once again, are you guys kind of
It's a demos thing. So at the beginning of the season, I was actually streaming like a few of them using like Skywalks and whatnot, like just looking at our team individually. Whereas like because we're not being able to practice the most, like looking for individual mistakes in a super loose system to me isn't like the most productive. It's not very efficient.
yeah.
So I like to see personally, like let's say if my Joe's is like, for example, like in Funny, or like you're going over to A app, sorry, like every round on like a T default or something. I will then go on what I think's the best T apps player and like how he's manipulating the game and like controlling the rhythm basically.
yeah, what
Like
he does.
Rops, for example. So I love seeing that. I'm also in like active contact with Not out here. Constantly giving feedback in the tax.gg Discord and whatnot. So I'm bouncing around the place and learning a lot, but I'm not necessarily like sitting there drilling demos into my head like every
Of
day.
course.
Yeah.
About like what mistakes were made, how can I fix that?
Yeah.
But next season that would definitely be the case because we'll obviously be more of a team at that point.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Well, in the questions we got from the chat, there aren't an absolute ton this week. So we've only got a couple. even less genuine ones. So
Mhm.
I've
Most of the
put
troll questions as far as I've
yeah,
seen.
yeah, I've seen. I've put a couple questions together for myself anyway that I thought it'd be interesting to hear your opinions on, and Alcan obviously likewise if you want to kind of pop in. I mean you are the host, so don't be shy.
No.
So the question we've got, your opinions on playing big garlic dips this season?
What's my opinion on playing them?
Yeah.
Joe, I'm actually a bit wary of them because they're like, well, all of them have been salaried players before. Like,
Mhm.
they're pretty big names. Like, we know how mechanically gifted they are.
Yeah.
But like, you just got to be wary of teams like that. Like, we know that they can beat anyone. If like the other team just aren't like making a great effort against them. So we just need to turn up on that day, or we will get punished and
Well,
embarrassed.
I'm a bit unfamiliar with the roster. Who's on that team
I
currently?
think it's like Fry. I want to say Pulse, maybe.
Oh, Pulse, yeah.
Murky. I know
Jamie on there or not?
Cheeky.
Oh,
Cheeky's meant to be
so
on
you got
it.
real OGs then, like
Shaney.
some real old
Yeah,
school
like
guys.
it
Yeah.
like it really is like the real OG. So they can like upset anyone, to be honest.
So the lineup
Astro
here,
as well.
it's Nezu, Astro, Frey, Genko, Pulse, and Cheeky subs, and Murky subs.
Oh, okay. So yeah, again, like these players are like they're individually strong, right? So
Well,
like
I
they
mean,
can upset anyone.
just look at
Yeah.
I mean, look at those names there. I mean, I'm not active anymore, but even I mean, way before I was even playing, these were people that even I knew who they were. So
Yeah,
these are
of
people
course.
that years of experience.
Oh yeah, way more experience than myself personally.
Yeah. Well, so have you
Um,
got Sheik on your bench? It's like having a £40 million player sitting on your bench.
40 million pound, yeah, it's like
Oh,
Man
mate,
City,
don't
really, isn't
give him any more ego boost. You don't need it.
It's the Man City.
We've also got why is there so much sexual tension between Alco and the XENEX logo?
Well,
Which I'm
yeah, that's all I've got to look at.
a big fan of that one.
Like, but we can't talk about it too
I'm a
much.
big fan of that one, huh? I mean, that's all I've got to look at on my screen, bro. I can't help it, right?
But to be
Staring
fair,
intensely.
Moshi did raise a good question specifically for Bevve here. If you could make changes to the UK scene and things like UKPL specifically, how would you go about improving UKPL?
So first of all, the UK scene topic, I think there needs to be a lot of changes, but that kind of starts with the players. It's not something like I or even Endpoint can go in and change overnight. It needs to be like more of a collective thing.
Yeah, of
It's
course.
a shame there's no sort of like council, to be honest, for UKPL. Like even if there was like a team council where
Yeah.
we can go and discuss shit together, it kind of like get work done. So
Yeah.
I think right now the mindset and whatnot's just so scuffed, and even interactions between players is so off. UKPL though, for me, like this time, like I left it. I'm personally not a fan of it at all. Like I went into a game, I feel like 4 people got eyes in the back of my head. Like I'm being judged. Like if I miss a single shot or something, like I'm gonna be flamed. So for me, it just put me in a bit. I don't know. For me, it's just not an enjoyable experience. I like the opportunity they're given with people to move them up, but I think there needs to be just as clinical and move downs. Again, like how FPL-C and FPL does it, where they can like vote people out, or not necessarily vote, but like at least have an admin discussion about it.
Yeah, I think if you do the voting system, especially with the way the UK scene is, you're gonna get a lot of.
Yeah, it's one big friend group, right? So
Yeah.
like that's another issue in itself.
But
you can't change that anyway. So.
Yeah, I mean that's always going to be the case. I mean, I feel like as well. I mean, I don't know what the stakes are every season. I've not gone anywhere near PL.
Got 1,000 in prizes, which is a shame. Yeah, in PL it's something like $1,000 or something, plus like 2 or 3 FPL-C spots. So people should be playing it more. Should we put more effort in? But yeah, it's difficult because it's not an enjoyable experience at the moment. Like I said, it's just like one big click, and if you're not in that friend group, then like it's not an enjoyable experience anyway. Especially if you're not like a big name. So.
Of course. Well, the only other question we have from chat is opinions on JC Kicker tearing up ESEA main.
I wouldn't know what his stats are. Does anyone know?
No clue.
Oh, okay. I'm on that fit. He has 55 ADR. I mean, he's having a banging season. I think he makes. In seriously though, like I've been watching Kika with the endpoint stuff. It's good to see his parents supporting him.
He's a good player.
Yeah, he's actually owned it this weekend.
I remember playing with JC Kicker back in Division 1.
In CL.
I played Div 1.
Div
1, both of us were. But I think both of us got promoted in the same season. Like went up.
All I'm saying is he needs to get off World of Warcraft and get back on CS, mate. Get back on the grind.
But I think he'll make the final 10 personally for the the endpoint application process. So
Oh, nice.
you know, he can sit there and be like, yeah, I had a shit main season, which I think he's happy to admit. But like, I think he's got something good going for him right now anyway. In regards to
he looks good to be fair from what I've seen of him. So
yeah, he's doing well.
good luck to him.
All right, well, a couple of questions I've got prepared, and these are kind of to both of you. That you know, just listening to the chat and kind of gathering what we've been talking about. These are some things that I'd like some kind of final opinions on. You know, don't feel pressure to kind of just let everyone know these aren't set in stone. We do these live, so whatever someone says today isn't going to be what they necessarily think in a week, 2 weeks time. But I've got here. So, what do you think is a fair punishment for cheating in CS? I mean, we looked at the match fixes from iBuyPower, which, you know, some people still debate to this day. 5-6 years ago, that debate, you know, is it fair they get lifetime bans? You got, for example, 2 years. Other people got 3 months. What's the, if you could have a universal ban or anything like that, what do you think is the fair kind of outcome for someone that does gain a competitive advantage through cheating in a competitive, you know, talking like leagues, you know, cash cup tournaments, things like that?
For me, if you're under 18 years old, you should have 2-year ban. Simply because it's a big enough slap on the wrist. Like, you could argue that they don't really know what they're doing; they're a bit younger. For me, if you're 18 and above, or maybe even 21 and above, I think it should really be to 3 to 4 years. More severe. Personally, you know, people that are adults and making these decisions, I don't think really deserve a second chance. Which may sound like ironic that I'm back now. But
Of
yeah, I
course.
mean, I've taken the opportunity, and again, like, I disagreed with the endpoint academy decision to let me through on the basis that it was like 2 years. It's a new, like, I guess, opportunity to change. But I've done nothing to prove that I'm not cheating still. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying I'm cheating, but like, these cheaters need to prove themselves that they can be valuable to the community and actually provide something good. So,
you know, it's not just good enough to come back; it's you have to come back, do the extra
or
mile.
like a 2-year ban, 6-month probation or something.
Just right on probation. Yeah, they got an ankle monitor on you at all times.
Yeah.
ALCAN, what's your take on it?
I think 2 years, as I said before, 2 years is an eternity. Like, if you're an upcoming promising player that, you know, the scene should actually take value in, if you fuck up once and you get banned for 2 years, you're never going to do it again. Because it would have nearly fucked your career, and that will always be in the back of your mind that I got away with it the first time, come back after 2 years. If I get done again, I'll never get another chance again. Would be my opinion of it.
I mean,
unless they know 100% that they can cheat and get away with it, I don't think they'll take that risk if they get banned the first time.
We've seen, you know, talents, not just necessarily in the UK scene, but we have seen CS talents who, you know, were underage, like, you know, Bevve said there, 17 or 16-year-olds who cheated once, got a ban, can never play in Valve tournaments, or they've just been kind of isolated from the scene. I mean, just go over to Valorant, fresh start. You know, I think we're going to see a lot of players over the next couple of years take that
and then just like go over it.
Yeah, I mean,
that's the thing with the cheater mindset, is a lot of cheaters think like, we'll never get caught with it for a first point, right? A lot of cheaters go into it like, I'll never get caught, like, my cheat's paid for, like, no chance. And then when they get caught, they're like, oh fuck, like, what can I do now? Whereas now, like, that isn't even going to be like a discussion. They're like, okay, I go play Valorant. So it's not a big issue to them anymore, especially with like even things like Warzone popping off now. Like, esports is everywhere in FPSs.
While on the subject, so I'll just get some clarification for everyone that is listening or any watching the kind of videos later on, is because no matter when you talk about what punishments are fit for what, the iBuyPower guys are always going to come into the discussion. So just to clarify, we all consider match fixing to a completely different realm of kind of scumbaggery to cheating, I'm going to guess. Or are we talking the same level? Are we talking, do we think the iBuyPower bans, not specifically those guys, but match fixing, you know, is that kind of a fair lifetime you're out? Same thing as cheating?
I think lifetime. I think it's the thing with these kind of things with cheating and match fixing is context needs to be taken into account. Well, goes off there.
I think context does as well.
Yeah, context is really important. Like, if you're like 13 and you get caught match fixing because you're some super talent, if you're on a team with like a load of other players who are in their mid-20s, you probably got forced into that match fix whether you wanted to or not. And if you get banned for that, that's not fair in my opinion. Like, that person, obviously, because they're involved, should get a ban, but it should be specific to each scenario. To the people in their 20s, they should get banned for longer than the fucking like 14-year-old kid that gets done for it. I think every situation is, you know, there's context for everything. I think that's the problem with having hard guidelines for this sort of thing, is that context matters.
Absolutely.
Like, the idea that people like Dazed and AZK get banned for the same amount of time as Brax, who was literally a fucking kid at the time, is
like
mental
16,
to
17 or something like
that. Yeah, it's not taking into account context to me. And that's not the way laws are constructed, so I don't know why rules in
mean,
esports
Scooter
are
did it,
taken
didn't he,
in.
himself?
Yeah, didn't get banned
He
either.
just refused. He just refused the payment at the end once his mates were being banned.
Mhm.
So I mean, should
Yeah.
he have been allowed to play? Personally, to me, like he already made that decision to throw a game. To me, he should have also been banned.
Yeah.
Whether that should be permanently or not, like I don't really care for, to be honest.
I think it's interesting who you ask this question to, because I feel like excluding the people who are at the highest level, who actually all know those guys personally, what I tend to find when you ask that kind of question is that the higher up you go, people tend to get slightly more stricter with no, they shouldn't come back, and I think that's because it takes a lot of hard work to to kind of get to the point where you're playing against teams like iBuyPower, top NA teams, and to have things like match fixing, things like that. It just feels like you put all that work to waste.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if
Definitely.
that's the case though. I mean, a lot of pros are running around, or they were for years anyway. There was even talks of like people like abandoning games and whatnot in like protests as they seem to ban the other
No,
power.
that's what I'm saying. At the highest level, I think because those guys, they know those people personally, like
Yeah,
especially in the
yeah,
NA
exactly.
scene.
They're much more lenient on it. To be honest, I'm very interested to see what Richard Lewis comes out with when he exposes all this match fixing stuff that's ongoing.
Yeah, it will
Yeah,
be
he's been saying it's
That will be
all up in the NDL level and above, isn't it?
that
There's loads of it
will.
going on.
Yeah.
I think that will kill the NA scene more than what Valorant did. To be honest.
I think so.
Yeah, I
We
agree
move-
with that.
Yeah, I think
Well,
so.
that's interesting actually, because one of the questions I've got done, I know you said when you were looking to come back, or when you were looking, obviously you were thinking about coming back, you've only been back for a couple of months. You did get some offers from Valorant to play things like, was it ECS? You said.
Me? No, I didn't get any Valorant offers, but
Oh,
I
right,
was
okay.
considering playing. I played it, like the matchmaking system.
Yeah,
Didn't
yeah.
really like it at all.
Mhm.
I didn't like how strict they were with like controlling everything. Like, there's gonna be no third party anything. There's no
Yeah,
third
yeah.
party deathmatch. There's no third party like face it or anything.
Yeah.
To me, that's already a yikes.
Mhm.
And second of all, I just don't enjoy the game. Like for me, like CS is raw, and the fact you can be flashbanged through a wall on Valorant is just so infuriating.
Yeah, we all love a
Like
bit of
people
breach.
flying across your screen, like wolves chasing you down. Like nah, like that's to me.
Mhm.
I don't enjoy that at all.
It
So I
dilutes
think I'll
the
stick with
gameplay,
CS.
doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, it
But no,
just
I
lowers
never
the skill
shit on
ceiling
people
for
for
me.
moving.
Yeah, well, that was kind of what I wanted to ask, was just kind of what your kind of opinions on Valorant were there, especially as someone who's coming back into the scene, because you would think that, someone who's come back from a ban, they are very likely to, just like you said there with some of the other cheaters, just to go move to Valorant because it's a fresh start. But it's interesting to see that, the way you feel about it is, and like most CS players, even myself, ALCAN included, CS is just a superior game.
It's much funner as well. It's much more raw.
Yeah.
Much more fun to watch as a spectator as well, I think. So
I agree with that.
This is a big one. Now, me and Al can disagree on this slightly. We've had this conversation in private a few times. The question is, exploits and cheating, do we see much of a difference? So say, for example, the jump crouch bug, the coach bug, for example, if at the highest levels everyone is using the same exploit, is that comparatively different to, say, someone just using, a soft toggle aimbot, things like that? I mean, do we see those morally different? Is it acceptable? Do you feel like you
no.
have to use it because everyone's
So
using it?
yeah, I mean, to me, like obviously, I'm a big fan of Big, like they're the team I root for, and obviously they were a big culprit of the jump
Yeah.
spot bug. To me, they should have been banned there and there for cheating.
Right,
I
okay.
think it was Antares that's maybe doing it at like Top Inferno.
So yeah, that's the big one.
To me, like he should be banned for 2 years there and then.
Mm.
And then should be disqualified. Like to me, that's cheating. They get an unfair advantage. If people are going to say the smoke exploit is cheating, and I should be banned for 2 years, then so should these pro players that are doing stuff like this.
Okay.
Coach bug is slightly more iffy. It's hard to prove what the intention was of these players, these coaches, what information was given.
Yeah.
I think it's very interesting. I think if you look at Heroic, like their fall off after that coach ban, to me that was a bit of a warning sign. I think, bit of a that was a bit yikesy to be honest. But I don't know. It's a difficult situation. I think it's very case dependent because exploit covers so many things. But that jump spot one specifically was fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like that breaks the game like just as much as seeing through smokes does at times.
Well, it's free information. Yeah, that was the kind of the problem.
Yeah,
with
of course.
it. ALCAN.
Tough one. I'd agree. Yeah, honestly, like if you're knowingly abusing a bug, then I don't know. I don't think you should be given the benefit of the doubt. Again, it's as you said, it's the same thing with
Pro level when you're
exploiting a
salaried,
bug.
right?
Yeah, like you shouldn't be doing
That's
it.
really
You
bad.
shouldn't be doing it. I think if you're doing that kind of thing, a ban's fair enough. Like I think a 2-year ban would be more than acceptable for, like as you said, Xantares, jump spot on a wall. He knows he's doing something that's not supposed to be in the game. He knows
They've
he's
had that
exploiting a bug.
discussion.
And it was also the case that he's also made that decision not to tell Valve and get it fixed.
Well, as
Well-
far as we know, they didn't tell Valve, right?
Well,
wouldn't
allegedly
have done.
someone had told. I think someone didn't. Oh, what's his
Someone
name?
must have done
The old
Valve.
Swedish player that used to play for NIP. Is it Pyth?
Pith,
Pith,
yeah.
yeah.
Pith did apparently that he showed text logs from Valve about 7 months before that tournament, I believe, kind of talking
Jeez.
about it, and nothing came of it. And I think as well with the jump bug specifically, similar actually with the coach bug, that I mean it's very evident that a lot of players were using that. I mean, if we go back, and obviously it was at the major, it was really found out. Was it the 2018 major? 2017? I can't remember.
I think so, yeah.
You know, no one was shocked on that pro scene. I mean, there's a lot of people. If you go back and watch demos, you can see them exploiting it 4 or 5 months before that tournament. So it's, for me, it's a hard one, because if everyone's doing it, you're also getting salaried as well. You know,
Mhm.
you are incentivized to do anything it is possible to win. And if it's in
Mhm.
the game, and Valve were aware of it, as we've seen from the message logs with a couple of the pro players, you know, what you're supposed to do is just hope that the other team doesn't use it.
I think not everyone was doing it, right? So if you look at the best team in
Couple.
the world, Astralis, they didn't do it.
Yeah.
If
I
you
think
look
it's to
at
do with
Big, they
enforcement
didn't
as
do
well,
it.
though. Yeah, I think it's
Well-
enforcement at the end of the day. Like, they should have enforced the case that, okay, you were exploiting a bug that you weren't supposed to be. What's
Mhm.
the follow-up action? Because like, what happened to Big for that? They got nothing really
Nothing
I
came of
don't
really.
it.
think they got
Did they?
disqualified
They
for the
just
tournament, right?
Well,
they disqualified for that tournament they were in,
but
and they got
long
shit on by
term.
the community. But like, where was the issue? Like, why were they not fined massively? Why
I'm
were they
not
not,
sure.
Mhm.
why were any of the games that they played beforehand where they've been abusing it not disqualified? Like, to be fair, last year with ESEA doing all the investigations
Crazy good
into
work
like
for
bugging
them.
and stuff like that, like they've done really good stuff there, and it's getting better. But they need to be
Mhm.
more harsh with that kind of thing. Like, if you're
100%.
going to go and do something like that, know the risk, because it
Yeah.
isn't clear at the moment. That, if you do something like that, you're going
Well,
to get a ban.
this
You
is why
should
the
get
by
one.
power thing is so prominent. I mean, that's why you don't see match fixing at the highest level done so openly anymore. I mean,
Well, we
we
think, right?
we might find out later on. You know, in a couple
Yeah.
months' time, we might all be proven wrong. But a lifetime ban is, I mean, considering what kind
Something
of Big
else.
did, they got, like you said, there, slap on the wrist, really, if anything, not even. So it just
Yeah, not enough in
incentivizes
my opinion.
people to. I mean, what was it? 2 years down, 3 years down the line, we've seen the coach bug, and we don't know what's going to come of this yet, really, long term. How far back is it going to go? Well, other question we've got for you here, Bevve, is any current maps in the rotation now? If you could remaster one, because we know things like Mirage, things like that have been, kind of been sitting around for a long time. What do you take out of the map pool? If you could make a change, what are you changing?
The map pool. So personally, for me, I would minus Mirage and Vertigo,
Okay.
and I would plus Tuscan and
Get rid
Cash.
of Vertigo. Get
Tuscan.
it
Okay.
Yeah, I would plus Tuscan and Cash. I know that map's been reworked now, and it's pretty much good to go.
Have you seen
So
the? Yeah, I was gonna say, have
for
you seen
me,
the
it would
remake for
be
it?
Yeah. So for me, I think Tuscan slides right back in.
Mhm.
And I'd also like to see Cash come back. It's an all-time favorite of mine.
Yeah, I would love to see Tuscan put in. Just not even just for the fact that I think it would just change things up so drastically.
Yeah, absolutely. I just think Vertigo is really boring to watch.
Shit.
It's kind
Yeah.
of repetitive. It's boring to play.
Boring to play, boring to watch, and it's
Yeah.
crap.
It's just a bit shit all around, to be honest.
Fantastic. Last question we've kind of really got for you, and then the other two is kind of one we ask everyone is, if you had to drop someone from your roster and you have to answer the question right now.
Yeah.
Mm.
No, we'll leave that one. I start
Yeah, we'll
see if
leave
we can
that one.
get a bit of drama out of you, but
So
so this is one I think. I mean, I think we just kind of touched on this last time for you, ALCAN. So it's more kind of towards Bevve here. Number one player in kind of CS at the moment, actively out there.
number one, like best in the world?
Outside of the scene, yeah, just whole world encompassing.
Oh, simple, easily, right? Like
I
for
think
me,
that's yeah.
he's better than Zywo, not even like close. I think it's actually quite a long way.
Yeah, especially in 2021, I think he's proven himself to be a much
Yeah,
better player.
I think
2020,
Zywo's
there's an
got a
argument
much
there,
better
but
team around him.
yeah,
In
100%.
comparison.
It's sad really to see the drop off of players like Nico and Coldzera in that conversation, like so
Yeah,
drastic. I mean,
it's a big shame.
but I mean that was always the
happens,
conversation,
right?
wasn't it? With Coldzera, second he leaves that Brazilian roster,
Yeah.
what's he gonna do? And unfortunately, it's not
Not a
been
lot,
what I thought.
is the answer.
Sadly.
Yeah, it's in the bed, unfortunately.
Sadly. Right, well, we'll leave you on this last question. Last question we have with everyone that comes on is kind of like you get to kind of suggest who you'd like to have on next.
Yeah,
If there's
of course.
anyone you think would have a good chat with, or someone who wants to kind of get an opinion out there, or like yourself, you've obviously not had a platform really to talk about some of these things that you've come back with since. So someone like yourself who might want to have an opportunity to talk to the community directly.
So I have two people. One of them, I think, Emperor. Like the guy's been around for a super long time. He's obviously coaching now, but he's played before. I'd like to get his opinion on the difference in the scene from even 2018 to now. What's changed with Valorant?
Yeah.
I think he'd have some really good points to bring up.
Yeah.
He's someone that's mature as well, so he can speak about everything and address pretty much every issue.
Mhm.
And then the second guest for me would be my teammate Magic, because he's from the NA, so his difference mainly between the NA to EU, and then how he's adjusted, you know, FPL-C and whatnot, and
Hey,
all the rest really.
well, we'd love to have him on if you want to put in a word.
Yeah, I'll put in a
Yeah.
word. I'll put in a word. Don't worry.
That's beautiful.
Definitely.
Right, well, that's everything really. We got any final words?
No, I'm good personally.
Anything you want to say?
Thank you
You're
for
all
having
happy?
me. Thank
Okay,
you
yeah.
for having
Thank
me.
you very much for being on.
Yeah, we
Cheers,
really
my
appreciate
friend.
having you, Bev.
Appreciate it.
Right,
Right.
that's everything
Thanks
from
for
us,
anyone
guys.
who's tuned in for the stream. I hope you guys enjoyed. Bevve, thank you everybody. Thank you, Bevve.
All right, take care. We'll see you next, guys.